Hey everyone, Dr. Chris here, and in this video I will be talking about naming once again. This time it's going to be naming rasters, and especially rasters in your geodatabase, and especially rasters that you're doing processing on. So, without further ado,
Alright everybody, in this short video I'll be talking about something that I talked about in my last video, except this time, again, it's about rasters, not about shape files. So, file naming of your rasters. Now, this is sort of going to be in your geodatabase within ArcGIS Pro or outside of your geodatabase. When you're doing processing, I assume you're going to be doing it within your geodatabase, so the naming conventions are going to be slightly different inside and outside. And I'm going to show you right here. We'll start off with this. Some people have this within their geodatabase, saying color infrared as their imagery. Now, that is not horrible, but it certainly doesn't describe anything about your data whatsoever. So I have to do this. No. Do not put that in your geodatabase. Let's look at something that's a little better naming than this way. Here I've got 3 examples of naming a raster. It doesn't have to be in your geodatabase. The way they look right now, they would be outside of your geodatabase, but I'm going to show you right now. First off, you've got a project code. This should be outside of your geodatabase. That's because there is absolutely no point to having PR19 or whatever your project code is within your geodatabase. It just takes up space, but when you take it outside of your geodatabase, make sure that you have a code attached, because you could have multiple rasters that their naming looks similar, and the only thing that's really going to be different is your project. The next is the equipment code. In this case, we are looking at World View 2 imagery, so WV2. You can put in any of the other satellite names, or make sure they're short and something you can understand. The next is the date acquired. Now, this could get very cumbersome if it's acquired over several months, but sometimes, say in my case, where we're really only dealing with vintage per year, you could have, in this case, it's year 2019, month 08, which is August. I had to actually count there because I completely forgot what 8th month is. Now, you could also just leave it 19. Again, that's if you're only dealing with one vintage per year, and that's what I do most of the time. The next is the band, and this is equipment-specific bands and band combinations. In this first example, this number 1 right here, you can see 7. So that's, in this case, for Worldview 2, band 7 is near infrared. Now down here in the next line, what we have is the band combination that we created through the band combination tool within ArcGIS Pro. This shows that we're using band 7, 5, and 3. Again, equipment specific for Worldview 2. This creates a color infrared, and this is the band combination name. I do this just so I can visually separate 753 from 751 or 762, whatever. At the end, you know what it is. This next one, for your datum and projection, this again is outside of your geodatabase. You do not need that within the geodatabase, or you shouldn't need it within your geodatabase. But make sure if you're going to send something out, it's got all of this information attached to it. If you do metadata, and a lot of people don't do metadata, you should have this stuff within the file as well. However, this way gives a good visual representation of what's happened to your raster data inside and outside of the geodatabase. Now I'm going to show you another example of if you're doing image processing, what your raster should look like in your geodatabase. Here's a quick example of what your raster should be named within your geodatabase while you're image processing. Since you are already in a project, you do not need the beginning project name on your raster. To start off, we'll have, in this case, Worldview 2, the date it was acquired, the raster combination created, and what the raster combination creates. Now, I like clipping my rasters to very specific areas to do processing. So in this case, since I've run a geoprocessing tool called Clip Raster, I put clip at the end to say that it's been clipped. Now you can get a little more specific by saying which boundary you've clipped to. In this case, I'm just giving you a general understanding to make sure that you put it in your geodatabase as clipped. Since it is color infrared, I like running a unsupervised classification. In this case, it's a support vector machine unclassified algorithm that's within ArcGIS Pro. I tacked on V1. That's because I like changing the parameters and running it 5 or 6 times to see which one appears to come out better with the different parameters set. You should also make note somewhere, maybe in your metadata, what parameters you're using for your unsupervised or supervised classifications. Next, RC. In this case, I know what that is. That's a reclassify. Again, this is something that you should be putting down in a document somewhere of what you're reclassifying certain classes to. You can put it in metadata. I keep a document within my project saying what I've done to the images. Rasters. Next, I've got a majority filter. In this case, I've run it 8 times, and that's to sort of shape the raster the way I would like it to, or at least make it morph into something a little more usable with a lot less pixels in it. This naming of rasters is an example. As you can see, quite possibly the naming of these rasters could get seriously long. I will leave that up to you to decide how to shorten them. It will help you see what you've done within your geodatabase for your image processing. Maybe you've got another method for naming your rasters while you're doing imagery processing. If you have, leave it down below. We'll get some conversations going. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, add me to your LinkedIn, or even better, share my videos through your networks. Until next time, I'm Dr. Chris. Keep rocking.